But our country right now is doing better than it's ever done. You know, when I see polls on the economy, I should have 150%, not 100%.
Let's get to Lauren with the numbers. Go ahead, Lauren.
Minus 23,000. No rebound for the July jobs report. Negative 23,000. Unemployment rate drops in July to 4.1% from 4.2% in June, and the same for the expectation. The number of unemployed drops from 7.1 million to 6.9 million. Where are other jobs, Maria? Well, manufacturing, bright spot, better than expected, created 5,000 jobs in the month. But again, a disappointing jobs report.
They've had 3 months now of real weakness in the job market. Is the economy moving into a new phase where we're losing jobs slowly but surely? Because that would not be good politically for the president, would it?
President is struggling with terrible news on Fox, of all places. That's right, the president who spent months insisting that the American economy is booming. Well, Fox News are struggling to maintain the illusion because after Friday morning's jobs report, it was difficult for anyone, let alone Fox News actors or anchors, as we like to call them, to try and spin it in their favor. In fact, Fox business anchor Lauren Simonetti opened her segment with the words, quote, again, a disappointing jobs report. The US economy lost 23,000 jobs in July, with my favorite segment of Maria Bartiromo being forced to report the number on air, repeating it actually, before then clambering for a positive because stocks looked strong. I'm sorry, that's not going to help everyday Americans who are struggling to put food on the table, let alone invest in the stock market.
Report, and it was obviously weaker than expected, but it did cause a big rally in stocks as it suggests that a rate hike is perhaps lesser of an eventuality for the Federal Reserve. And here is the list of the jobs created and lost. Leisure and hospitality down 40,000, as John just mentioned. But construction was up 22,000. Manufacturing was up 5,000. Private education and health services up 25,000. But
the Bureau of Labor Statistics also revised the previous 2 months sharply downward, right? May had originally reported 129,000 jobs. That's been revised down to 63,000. June was originally reported at 57,000. That's now 20,000. So combined, May and June produced more than 100,000 fewer jobs than previously estimated. That's far from the acceleration that Donald Trump talks about. And remember, economists were expecting that the forecast was approximately going to be 80,000 jobs added in July. Instead, with the minus 23,000, that's a miss of more than 100,000 jobs relative to expectations.
If I don't run, will those people go out and vote? Because a lot of them are very angry at Republicans, to be honest with you. They're angry at I don't know. I mean, they're angry at Republicans, but they're not angry at me. That's an interesting thing.
Why?
They're not angry at me, but they are angry at Republicans.
As soon as he said that, I thought of you.
Yes.
Okay. How true is it? Are they angry at Republicans but not him?
He's full of it. The president's full of it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. 43% of them in an average of polls are choosing the Republicans for the House. The Republicans for the House are outrunning President Trump. His approval rating is just 37% in an average of polls. They're outrunning him by 6 points. Among independents, the spread's even wider. I have it as a little nugget down there. The House Republicans are outrunning Donald Trump by 9 points, although they're both doing poorly. But the bottom line is this. When Donald Trump says that voters are angry at Republicans, not him, that, simply put, is not the case looking at the data. Voters who want congressional Republicans to do more to stand up to Trump or work with Trump. 56% say more to stand up to Trump. That's what they want congressional Republicans to do, compared to just 35% who say they want congressional Republicans to work more with them. As I said at the top here, what we're dealing with is Republicans are getting dragged down by Donald Trump, not the other way around. And indeed, among independents, what we're seeing is 65% they want congressional Republicans to do to stand up to Trump.
And Donald Trump has not exactly been campaigning as the president of lowered expectations, has he? He's been telling Americans that they're living through this economic renaissance. Record-breaking, unprecedented. Everyone's thriving out there, especially his mates that can finally afford private jets.
But we passed the largest tax cuts in American history. We delivered 100% expensing. That's a big one. I think, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country in my first term. We then got hit with COVID, but even including COVID, we did a great job in COVID. We never got credit for it. But every country was ripped apart by that disaster. We know where it came from. It came from Wuhan. And I said that. But we were all ripped apart. And China got hit very, very hard. It was delayed. They got hit very hard at the end. But it was a terrible thing. But we had the greatest economy in history. And before COVID, nobody had ever seen anything like it. But if you just took those 3 years and look at what we're doing now, we're going to blow them away. I mean, unless some horrible event happens, which is always possible, you know, we always have to at least think about the horrible events. Who would have thought that COVID could have happened? A thing like that could have happened. But we delivered 100% expensing, and that expensing, I think, we write it off in 1 year. I have friends that bought things that, frankly, they didn't need. I have a friend that never flew in a private plane in his life, and he ended up going out and buying a very expensive private plane because of expensing 1 year.
But it doesn't line up with what the government's own employment statistics are saying. They're increasingly telling a different story. And even Fox Business recognizes that there's a major problem here. And that matters, right? Because Trump will usually dismiss any negative coverage on his economy as it coming from fake news, New York Times, or the failing CNN, whatever it is. He can claim Democrats fabricated economic pessimism. In fact, he has went as far to claim that just the numbers are fake. But this is Fox Business. His own friendly economic commentators are using words like disappointing and disturbing. So it becomes slightly harder to convince Americans that everyone is secretly experiencing the greatest economy in recorded history.
Yep. 401ks are the highest they've ever been by double and triple. Yep. And then I read where we're doing badly on the economy. By the way, job numbers. We have more people working in the United States today than ever in history. We're doing an unbelievable job. Costs are coming way down. I inherited, you know, they talk about costs. I inherited very, very high costs, and they're all coming down now. The food, the groceries, it's all coming down. We've done a great job. You know, I think we should be given an A+ on the economy, but I think that's coming. People are starting to talk about it.
I'm wondering, sir.
They've had 3 months now of real weakness in the job market. Is the economy moving into a new phase where we're losing jobs slowly but surely? Because that would not be good politically for the president, would it?
No, I don't think that's what we're seeing at all. And one of the things we have to remember is that in the Biden years, you would expect to see numbers north of 100 because there are all these illegals coming in, really a stampede of them coming in and taking jobs. And what's happened is because we have a tight border and because we've been deporting folks who aren't citizens, then that puts downward pressure on what the sort of break-even job number is.
And it's bleeding into the polls that are being conducted across the board. The Washington Post Ipsos poll found that only 33% of Americans approve of his handling of the economy. So it seems that Americans have already reached a verdict on his economy, and that verdict is not flattering. The same poll found that 65% say groceries were unaffordable. 59% said people like themselves and their families do not have a good chance of improving their standard of living under the current conditions. Nearly half expected the economy to become worse over the following year. And that's another issue ahead of the midterms. Consumer sentiment is way down, right? People are not encouraged about anything that this administration seems to be doing. Among registered voters, 54% identified the economy and high prices as one of the most important considerations in their midterm vote. Hence why the political meltdowns from Mike Johnson and co. And Trump, he didn't return to office promising voters that they would eventually appreciate his decisions because they would invest in the stock market. People don't care about Plantair's operating margin. They care about trying to make ends meet. He promised affordability, prosperity. He told Americans, put me back in office and I will fix the economy day one. And voters gave him the job. Now they own the receipt. And Trump can try to blame Biden, Obama, hell, even I think Bush got thrown in there by J.D. Vance, did he not?
In just 2 days after President Trump traveled out to Las Vegas looking for a reset so midterm Republicans can talk less about the war in Iran and more about the economy delivered some unwelcome news.
In my second term, we're achieving our economic independence.
The road to economic independence can be bumpy, including a big miss in July's jobs report, which projected 80,000 jobs added, but found 23,000 jobs cut. Midterm implications, TBD.
The question is, will they vote? Because a lot of them are very angry not angry at me, but they are angry at Republicans.
Jobs reports for May and June were revised down 103,000 jobs, but the Trump team says there's a bright side.
There's a boom in manufacturing and construction across every manufacturing industry just about. And so factories are being built at a pace that we've never seen before.
Mines, too, specifically for rare earth minerals.
The United States is opening new mines at the fastest pace, and we opened the first American rare earth mine in more than 70 years. Critical minerals are the raw materials of American strength that power everything from advanced weaponry to automobiles.
Onshoring advanced weapons systems could prove critical, as the Iran war has demonstrated how quickly advanced weapons systems stockpiles can dry up. There is a light at the end of the tunnel in Iran, though. Reuters is citing a U.S. official who says, quote, "We expect a deal soon." And, quote, "Once a deal is announced to restore commercial shipping without impediments, the U.S. will lift the blockade of Iranian ports."
But if you look at the polling, Trump's overall approval is down to just 35%, 1 point above his lowest level that Reuters Ipsos has recorded during his current presidency. And in one key area, the Iran war, it's not as if voters are optimistic things will change anytime soon. That same poll found that a majority of Americans expect gas prices to become worse because of the war that they can't see ever ending at this point. So Trump is being squeezed from both directions. His domestic economic record is weakening, and his foreign policy that is contributing to the cost of living problems that voters are already blaming him for doesn't seem to be getting resolved anytime soon.
In the first quarter, the economy was beginning to take off like a rocket, and then we got into this skirmish with Iran. Okay, so clearly that's
You're calling it a skirmish.
War, whatever you want to call it.
Is this how you expected the second Trump term to go?
No, not at all. I hoped it was going to be so much better.
He also promised no new foreign wars. We're obviously in this war in Iran, which is why we're seeing the gas prices so high. What do you make of the president not keeping those campaign promises?
He just told us what we wanted to hear to vote him back in.
What would your message be to him about the economy right now, about prices, about day-to-day life?
I would tell him, you promised us you would lower prices, bring back what it used to be.
I was hoping that gas was going to go down so I could do something, you know. You can't do anything with gas prices, and you just can't. You can't afford to breathe at this point.
Are you regretting your vote right now?
I have the past 2 years, yeah, I have. I'm actually not even voting the next time.
So he just can't compartmentalize them anymore, and he can't even stop Fox News from reporting the truth either.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.